Thank you for watching us on YouTube. But did you know that if you're on the go, you can get the full show as a podcast now? You can get our morning breakdown of the most important topics facing our country, news not being covered by the mainstream media, interviews with change-making progressives, and info on what you can actually do about all this. Search for The Damage Report on your favorite podcast app and subscribe so you know when new episodes are ready to go. Turns out Kavanaugh might have been lying. Nobody's talked about that in their coverage of this, but it turns out he's been lying about a lot of things. We're not gonna talk about all the lies that we've broken down previously. We have another one, and that is, when did he initially find out about Deborah Ramirez's, this is the second accuser, talking about what happened at Yale, I believe this one was. Now, he had said, as we'll go over, that he found out about it after it was reported, but it turns out that that might not actually be the case. Apparently, and this is according to NBC News, in the days leading up to the public allegation that Brett Kavanaugh exposed himself to Deborah Ramirez, the judge and his team were communicating behind the scenes with friends to refute the claim, according to text messages obtained by NBC News. So he says, and we can bring up this next graphic, you'll see, in his testimony last week, he is asked, when did you first hear of Mrs. Ramirez's allegations against you? And he said, in the period since then, the New Yorker story, which was the first that I heard of those allegations. I can be honest, I'm not perjuring myself. But he apparently was actually trying to coordinate beforehand. So there's two concerns here, Brett. One is the possibility that's perjury. The other is the possibility of witness tampering in advance of the allegations coming out.
The perjury is consistent. You want to set up a pattern, and the pattern with Kavanaugh is very clear. He lies about stupid crap that he doesn't need to lie about. It's almost pathological, it's very frustrating. And it is consistent with the pattern that predates this entire investigation, this particular confirmation process. He's lied about this. This seems to go into the category of those strange lies, like, I didn't watch your testimony. Wall Street Journal reports you were in the room watching the testimony.
So why would you lie about that?
Why would you lie about that? Because he feels he can get away with it, because he's gotten away with everything forever. His mom's a judge. His mom's a judge, makes a call. He's this, he just gets away with it. That's what's so frustrating. I think that's the underlying frustration that people on our side have, is he's the guy who gets away with it. He's Rollo Tomasi from LA Confidential. He's just this, it's an amazing thing.
I've heard it's good.
I just fell off a chair. I hope you saw that. I just went like this and fell off a chair. But it's consistent with him lying, and it predates this particular process because he lied in his previous confirmation hearings for previous jobs / promotions that he's gotten, where he said, I didn't have access to certain documents, I didn't take part in certain investigations, things you need to watch the full part of Leahy's final statements before the vote in the committee, but he just lies, and it's proven. Those claims I just mentioned are unrefuted. We mentioned that on No Filter the other day. It's just, it's no one is disputing that. He has lied.
It's like, I mean, they commonly call it pathological, where you lie when you don't even need to.
But at this point, like, I don't know what to do. What do you suggest you do in a situation where you know that this man...
Keep pointing out the lies and hope that it sticks, that it's convincing to more of the population, but also to Coons and Flake, who have said that they will not vote for him if it's shown that he lied. So what we've said so far is, you've probably seen this. There's tweets going around, NBC News talking about it, people are talking about it, whatever, but let's dig a little bit deeper, like the news moles that we are. You have two concerns here, that's perjury and witness tampering. But if it is perjury, if he did actually know about it beforehand, if these texts turn out to be true, there's possibly, I think, two explanations as to why he would have lied. One being more sinister than the other. So the simplest explanation would be, Deborah Ramirez says that she had been talking to people about this to see what they remembered and stuff like that. It is possible that one of those people then went to Brett Kavanaugh and said, hey, by the way, Deborah Ramirez is asking around. That, I guess, is still perjury. He still lied about it. The more sinister explanation is that he remembers this event because the event happened. That seems the most reasonable, I guess.
Yes, I think that seems utterly reasonable. Either way, but both of them could have happened. I want to see this FBI report, unredacted, to find out what the
text messages.
The text, well, it will.
Well, NBC News has them, I suppose.
NBC News has them, but I want to see the process as it unfolded, since people, led by fearless leader Jeff Flake, said, I want more information. And I want to see that information. I want to see how wide-ranging it is, because there's been conflicting reports that while Trump says, I want it fast, but I also want it loose, essentially. I want as much information as possible on a short timeline. But then there have been reports that folks have reached out that are mentioned, whose names you've mentioned so far, and had not been able to get in touch with the FBI.
Yeah, there's apparently a few that have been, Carrie Burcham was one of the people in the text, Karen Yarosavage, interesting, have said that they've been trying to get in touch with the FBI, but have not had any luck. There's at least one other person who's also been trying to get in touch with the FBI and has had no luck. We're not gonna go deep into the details because we know almost nothing, but there's a letter that was sent to the Senate Judiciary Committee alleging another, not even attempted rape, this is a rape of Kavanaugh apparently forcing a woman to perform oral sex on him in a car. That letter was sent to the Senate Judiciary Committee, but we don't know anything more beyond that.
And what I said this to you before the show, but like what the other side wants for us to do is to say all of these are the most credible accusations. I'm not saying they are, they're not, but they want us to say, listen, there's 6 accusations, here they are. And then they want one of them to be inaccurate so that they can discredit every single one of them. That's not what we're doing. I mean, Lindsey Graham literally did that.
Yes, so
yeah, go ahead.
Well, we're gonna show the video in a second, but what that reminds me of is, you might recall, what were you gonna say?
It was just a different, I'm talking about Lindsey Graham in his final statement before the vote said, he went back, he was like, he literally did that. He said, there have been 5 accusations, I looked at the 5th one, ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then he starts counting back like each one is equally ridiculous.
Yeah,
but he just picked
if you can discredit one.
That's the least substantiated, and that's not our argument. Our argument is like, listen, we need more information for these particular accusations, but do not forget the fact that this guy has been proven to have lied to us multiple times.
And what should the consequences of that lying be? I'm not saying from the point of view of progressives like us, obviously the Republicans in the Senate are not gonna be convinced of that. But what about a firebrand, I can't do the accent.
Firebrand.
Firebrand, like Lindsey Graham. What does he think about perjury? So we've already established, he did know about it before the New York article came out. Whether you think it's the benign explanation or the sinister explanation, he definitely knew about it. It's on the transcript. He said he didn't know about it until afterwards, so he committed perjury. We're beyond that. We're moving on. What should happen to a judge who commits perjury? We turn now to firebrand Lindsey Graham.
I have argued to you that when you found that a judge was a perjurer, you couldn't in good conscience send him back in a courtroom, because everybody that came in that courtroom thereafter would have a real serious doubt.
First important note, Lindsey Graham both looks way younger there and exactly the same. That's interesting. But there, if he perjured himself, he cannot return to his court. This is not, he can't get onto the Supreme Court. He can't go back to his own court. So he needs to just be gone. He perjured himself. How could you ever trust him?
And in the like rhetorical argument that Lindsey Graham was making at that point, he used that as like the setup to say like, if Bill Clinton lied, he's the president of the United States.
He needs to be impeached too.
Yeah, it's with Lindsey Graham, I feel like the key to doing his voice is like you just saw something that makes you nauseous, but you haven't dry heaved yet, but you're about to. It's just like,
don't do it. Don't do it. We're good.
But this is if he lied, if a judge lied.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna come back to more Kavanaugh later on. One final point on here, and this is just for people who are, maybe if you're listening to this and you haven't been involved in politics for very long, following politics, one of the most amazing things is if you took like a 6th grader who's like, hey, politics is more interesting than I thought, and you talked about how you persuade people of things. I think it'd be shocking to most people that if someone says something and then you play a video of them saying literally the exact opposite, that would do nothing to convince them that they were hypocritical, that it doesn't matter. So we just showed that. He says if they perjure themselves, they should be impeached. It doesn't matter, he doesn't care. Like it's not gonna convince anyone in the Senate. How frustrating is that? Thank you very much for watching this clip from The Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.